what's going on YouTube? Welcome to another Season 7 League of Legends Champion Guide. Today I'm going to be covering AD carry Mordekaiser, the Iron Revenant.
I shall bring great suffering.
Alright, so let's begin this guide by looking at Mordekaiser's pros and cons. So first off the top, Mordekaiser has an absolute ton of damage, and he's also able to fill the role of an off-tank, which is great in an AD carry role. He's also got some pretty decent sustain from his W ability, which is great because you are a melee in the bottom lane, and you do have a game-changing ultimate as well. Although you're not the normal traditional AD carry, you can always grab the enemy's AD carry and make the game a 6v4. Finally, Mordekaiser also has some pretty damn strong split push. Both your W and your E ability do a lot of AoE damage, and if you are left alone, you can take towers pretty quickly, especially if you take the dragon. Now as for your cons, the first one is pretty damn important, and you need some pretty solid synergy with your support. If you're not working properly with your support champion as Mordekaiser, you're just going to get poked down in the lane phase and accomplish pretty much nothing. Mordekaiser's also got no crowd control and very limited mobility. Now obviously we're going to take Stormator Surge as your mastery, so you actually have some mobility at least, but you don't really have too much as Mord. Therefore, because of the limited mobility and the lack of crowd control, it's also very easy to gank Mordekaiser since he is a melee champion after all, and he's also got no initiation. Mordekaiser does have a massive amount of damage, but you will need somebody to initiate for you, and of course you do have to get to the actual enemies. For your masteries, you want to go 18 Cunning and 12 Ferocity, grabbing Stormator Surge as your keystone mastery. This mastery is going to give Mordekaiser a ton of mobility as long as he can get some damage off on the enemy. Once he does, however, all of that bonus movement speed will allow him to get to his targets much easier. For the rest of your masteries, you just want to focus on getting as much damage as possible on the Cunning side and of course the Ferocity side. If you were really worried about getting poked down, you could always go 12 Resolve and get some regeneration instead of the Ferocity, but I'm much rather getting the damage. For your runes, you want to go for Magic Penetration Reds, Armor Yellows, Magic Resist Blues, and Ability Power Quints. The Magic Penetration and Ability Power will give you a nice extra chunk of damage, so whenever you can hit the enemy champions, you will do a lot of damage, and it will make last hitting just a little bit easier. Since you're probably going to get bullied in the bottom lane, you want to make sure you get that Armor and Magic Resist just so you're a little bit more durable. If you're very worried about getting kited, then of course you can go for Movement Speed Quints as well, but generally I just stick with the Ability Power to increase my damage. For your first Summoner spell, you'll want to pick up Flash. Mordekaiser is a very immobile champion, and Flash can save your life throughout the game multiple times if you do get caught in a bad position. You can always use your Flash as well offensively to engage onto enemies if you are having a hard time getting onto them. As for my second Summoner spell, I usually like to pick up Ignite. This will add a nice extra chunk of damage so you can get yourself snowballing in the early game. Since you are going to be in the bottom lane, Heal of course is also a really solid option. It will increase your survivability, and of course you can always use it to save your teammates. Your passive ability is Iron Man, and this gives you a shield whenever you hit something with your abilities, which is great for taking damage in trades and teamfights. Mordekaiser shields himself for 25% of the damage dealt by his abilities, halved to 12.5% against enemy minions, and capped at 25% maximum health. After a 1.5 second delay, Iron Man's shield decays at a rate of 1.5% base health per second, down to a minimum of 6.25% maximum health. So this ability here is pretty decent because the shield will be great for taking damage back in trades. This will also make you a pretty durable champion, and you'll also be able to off-tank even though you are playing the AD carry role. Make sure you're hitting your enemies with your abilities as much as you can in the lane phase to get this shield so you're not taking a shitload of damage in trades. Your Q ability is Mace of Spades, and this is your main source of single target damage that can destroy your enemies. When activated, Mordekaiser's next 3 basic attacks deal bonus magic damage, and the third hit is the damage of the previous 2 combined. Mace of Spades resets Mordekaiser's auto attack timer as well. So this ability here, like I said before, is your main source of single target damage. As long as you can get all 3 hits on a target, it will have a 360% AD ratio and 240% AP ratio, so it hits like an absolute truck. Now it also does reset your auto attack timer, so you want to try to follow it after an auto attack just to increase your damage as much as possible. Other than that, there's not too much to say about the ability, just use it whenever you're going for a target because it will do a lot of damage. Your W ability is Harvester of Sorrow, and it gives you some bonus experience, some really nice AoE damage, and some sustain. Mordekaiser gains bonus experience when killing a minion near allies equal to 50% of the experience he lost due to them being there, which totals at between 82.6 to 60.87% of the minion's experience bounty. When activated on first cast, Mordekaiser targets an allied champion or minion, and for the next 4 seconds they gain 75% bonus movement speed while moving towards each other, which lingers for 1.5 seconds. When near enough to each other, each deal magic damage in an area effect around themselves every second for the duration. Melee and caster minions have a smaller AoE. Harvester of Sorrow ends if Mordekaiser or his ally dies. When activated on second cast, Mordekaiser constricts the area, dealing magic damage to all enemies near himself and his ally, as well as healing himself and his ally for the same amount from up to 2 enemies hit in their respective areas. Healing was reduced to 25% when harvesting minions. So that was a lot of information considering it is one ability, but it is by far your best ability, so you will want to max this one first. As a bot lane Mordekaiser, just the experience share portion is more than enough reason to take this one first. It does, however, also do a lot of AoE damage, and it does also heal both you and your support champion, so it is pretty busted in the bot lane. Try and harass the enemy bot lane as much as you can with this ability, and keep yourself sustained whenever possible. Your E ability is Siphon of Destruction, and this does some pretty solid AoE damage in a cone that's great for harassing and clearing up minion waves. When activated, Mordekaiser deals magic damage to all enemies in a cone and the target direction. For each enemy champion hit, Mordekaiser generates a bonus percentage of Iron Man's shield. So this here is a pretty solid ability because it has a 60% AD and AP ratio, so it deals pretty significant damage, but it also is great for getting your shield up. If you can hit multiple enemies in a team fight with this ability, you will get a really nice shield, and you won't take any damage to your actual health pool. Like I said before, it is also an AoE damaging ability, so it's also going to be great for clearing up those minion waves. Your ultimate is Children of the Grave, and this allows you to take enemy champions or even dragons, making your team fighting and split push a hell of a lot better. When activated, Mordekaiser blasts the target enemy champion, dealing magic damage as well as cursing them for the next 10 seconds. Cursed champions take magic damage every second, with Mordekaiser healing for 100% of the damage dealt by the initial blast and the curse. If Mordekaiser's team scores a takedown on a cursed enemy, he temporarily enslaves their soul as a controllable ghost. Enslaving the dragon will kill Mordekaiser's current ghost and prevent him from summoning a new one while it survives. So this is a pretty damn strong ultimate because if you can get a hold of the enemy AD carry, your damage output is going to go through the fucking roof. Therefore, your main goal in teamfights is going to be to kill the AD carry or AP carry and get a hold of their ghost. It's also going to be really strong if you can get a hold of the dragon. This will make your teams pushing incredibly strong and they're not going to be able to defend their towers most of the time. For your skill order, you first want to put a point into your ultimate whenever you can at 6, 11, and 16. You'll then want to focus on maxing your W ability first because it does increase the experience you get and of course is really strong for its AoE damage and its sustain. You'll then want to focus on maxing your Q ability second because it does an absolute ton of single target damage and will destroy your enemies. That of course means you have to save your E ability for last. It is a pretty damn strong ability, but it's not as good as your W and your Q, so you have no choice but to take it last. You will, however, want to point in it early on at level 2 because it is great for getting your shield, so you're not going to take an absolute ton of damage in trades. Now let's look at your support synergies, and there are 3 main ones, and the first one is Blitzcrank. The reason you'll be able to work so great with a Blitzcrank is because he'll be able to pull in targets for you to delete. As I'm sure you're well aware of by now, Mordekaiser really lacks mobility, but Blitzcrank will pull them in so he can get off his kit and delete a target. In the lane phase, you'll just want to be kind of passive until Blitzcrank pulls in a target and then delete them. For the next support synergy, we've got Leona. Now Leona is great with Mordekaiser because she actually does some pretty damn solid early game damage and of course has a lot of crowd control. If she can jump on her targets throughout the lane phase and you can follow up with your damage, you should have a pretty easy lane. At level 6, your guy's kill potential will go through the roof because she gets yet again another CC, and of course you can get control of a ghost. And for the last support synergy, we've got Thresh. The reason Thresh works so great with Mordekaiser is because he has a lot of crowd control and he can pull people in towards Mordekaiser so he can get off his damage. During the lane phase, you want to be a little passive at first and try to keep yourself sustained with your W ability, and as soon as he lands his hook, it's time to go. The lane phase is usually going to be pretty tough unless you're with a duo partner who's playing a strong crowd control champion. You want to wait for them to engage and hold the enemy in place so you can follow up with all of your damage. Your damage is very high, so if you can stick to a target for long enough, you can definitely delete them. You're also going to be pretty damn weak until you're level 3, so try and play passively. You can always use your Harvester of Sorrow to keep yourself and your ally sustained in the lane. Whenever possible, you want to try to get hold of a dragon with help from your jungler. The dragon has the potential to get your team a lot of easy towers. In teamfights, your first goal is to get control of a strong ghost with your Children of the Grave. If you can get a hold of something with a lot of damage like the enemy AD carry, it can completely swing the teamfight in your favor since it will add a ton of damage to your team comp. Next, you want to make sure you try and get a big chunk of AoE damage on the enemy team with your Harvester of Sorrow. It's also going to be great when used to heal allies who are on a low health pool. You should then be looking to delete a target with your Mace of Spades and your Siphon of Destruction. If you can get multiple hits on a single champion, they will die incredibly quickly. Wait for your opportunity though, you are pretty squishy, you're not a true tank. Now let's look at some of your hard matchups, and first up is Janna. The reason Janna is going to be annoying for you is because she has a lot of peeling, and if you do get on top of her carries, she can just push you off of them. That means you're just going to be back at square one trying to get to her actual carries. She can save them over and over again. Her shielding ability is also going to be great for helping her allies survive your ultimate, so keep that in mind whenever you go for it. For the next hard matchup, I've got Lulu. She's going to be really annoying for you because her glitter lance is a really strong slow, and getting to her allies is going to be very, very hard. If you do manage to get to them, then of course she can just speed boost them away, and you're not going to really be able to do your damage. In cases where you actually can get on top of her carry, she has her ultimate and her shielding ability to keep them safe, so you can't actually get a hold of them with your ghost. For the next hard matchup, I've got Xayah. Xayah is going to be pretty damn difficult for you because of course she has some really strong rooting abilities, and it's going to be really hard to get on top of her. When you combine her root with whatever crowd control her support champion has, good luck. In cases where you do actually get on top of her, she of course has her ultimate so you can't hit her, which should get her to safety. All you have to do is play as passively as possible in the lane phase, get whatever farm you can, and wait until the later stages of the game. And for the last hard matchup I'm going to talk about, we've got Twitch. Twitch is a champion that's going to be able to harass you a lot early on in the lane phase because of his stacking poison and his E ability. In the later stages of the game, it's also going to be really hard to get on top of him because he has a really long range with his ultimate. If, however, you or some of your teammates can get on top of him, if you can use your ultimate on him and you get a hold of a Twitch, you can destroy the enemy team. Alright, now let's finish this off with your item build, which starts with either a Relic Shield, Health Potion, and a Warding Totem, or a Doran Shield, Health Potion, and a Warding Totem. Now the Relic Shield may seem fairly weird, but you will get some nice health and gold generation as well, which is going to be great in the later stages of the game when it adds up. When you execute minions, you're going to get some health back as well as your ally, and of course they're also going to get some gold. It's really strong in the early game because not only do you get that gold, but you also get a little bit of sustain. Either way, if you want to be a little bit more selfish and skip the gold generation, Doran Shield is still a fantastic option. For your core build, we then have the Hextech Gunblade, Liandry's, and a Rylai's Crystal Scepter. The Hextech Gunblade is actually a really strong item on Mordekaiser because your Q and your E both make great use of both attack damage and ability power, so it's going to do a lot of damage. Of course, it's also going to give you some nice sustain early on, and that activation is also great for helping you stick onto targets. You'll then want to get the Liandry's for the magic penetration and the burn it provides. It will actually do a lot of damage with your ultimate since it will be refreshed. Then of course you have that Rylai's Crystal Scepter because it does apply a slow which will allow you to stick onto targets much easier. As an alternative, you could get the Hextech Protobelt instead of the Gunblade, but I definitely like the Gunblade a lot more myself. Either way, the Protobelt is still a really solid option because it has a really nice damage component and a short range gap closer. For your boot options, you can get Sork Shoes for the magic penetration, Ninja Tabbies against high AD teams, and Merc Treads against high AP and CC heavy teams. For the item pool, you first have the Rabadon's Death Cap. If you're looking for a mass amount of AP, then of course you're going to need the Rabadons because of the percent ability power bonus. Next we have the Void Staff, which is a really solid item in the later stages of the game when people have magic resist, just so you have that magic penetration to get through them. If you're looking for a solid defensive, then you could of course go for the Zonias for the stasis that it provides. This will give you all sorts of survivability, and it's great for dodging skill shots as well. Then if you're looking for an auto attack heavy build, you could go for the Gnasher's Tooth. This item will give you the highest DPS potential on Mordekaiser, but usually you're not able to sit there and auto attack over and over again, but it is still a really solid option. If you're looking to roam around a lot, then of course you could go for the Luden's Echo. This item will increase your burst damage and also gives you some movement speed, which is obviously great in roams. Next up, we have the Trinity Force. This item is pretty solid because whenever you hit a target, you will get increased speed, which of course is great on Mordekaiser. And finally, if you're wishing to go for pure burst damage, you could get the Lich Bane. This item will make your next attack do bonus damage, which of course is going to be great on Mordekaiser. For the example full build though, we take the core build, grab some Sork Shoes, and then get the Void Staff and a Rabadon's Death Cap. This is a very heavy AP build, which will allow you to stick on targets as well because of the Hextech Gunblade and the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. And that's everything I've got for AD Carry Mordekaiser. If you guys did enjoy the video, please make sure you like and subscribe, and also check out the video description below. I have a link to all my social medias, and I also have things like a Discord server, so there's some you should definitely check out. But other than that, thank you guys so much for checking out the video. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, have a good day, and peace.